Hello there. I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible to get through it, even faster than last week. But hello, my name is Scott Churchson, alongside Mr. Ryan Marie, Mr. Rob Leckington, and Mr. Devani Boosie. Welcome aboard, by the way, first time for you there. And welcome to Tales from the Film Set on Spanglish World Network, Zingo TV, channel 249, 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app in the App Stores via iOS and Android devices. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. Zingo TV, by the way, is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2015 forward. Not as good as I did last week. Faster, but I think not as clear. All right. How we
Rubber
doing?
baby buggy bumpers. Just keep on doing it.
Dude, he just Rob just did rubber baby buggy. I can never say that. I can never roll with that.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to start. You gotta loosen the lips.
I have never been able to say
the
that,
lips, loosen the throat before you go ahead and do anything like that.
But all right. So anyway, welcome to Tales from the Film Set here on Zingo TV, channel 249 and 250. Welcoming in, as always, Mr. Ryan O'Regan, Mr. Robert Leckington, and welcoming aboard Mr. Devani Boosie. How are you, sir? You
awesome.
may recognize him from the watch parties. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for having me here, guys. I'm not gonna let anybody down, especially the audience.
All right, all this pressure's on you, man. All this pressure's on you.
I mean, we got you two nights in a row now between tonight and tomorrow, so gotta make sure your stamina's up.
Exactly. Gotcha. You got this. So basically, we're going to be starting this off on a little bit more of a down note than I had planned. Initially, we had talked about, and we're going to go with this, talking about the retirement of both Jim Carrey and also Bruce Willis. And I promise we're going to be hitting that amongst other things as well. But the world kind of took a bit of a shot today with the announcement that Gilbert Gottfried had passed away at the age of 67. He had been conditionally getting worse over the years. I had seen it. Eduardo, if you can post that picture, that'd be fantastic. I would appreciate that. The one I just posted now. I'm just going to kind of roll for a couple of minutes here. I don't have all the pictures that I'd like, but I have known Gilbert Gottfried since 2014. I had met him when I was working with the Hoboken Film Festival, and that's a picture of me and him from like literally 8 years ago right there. You can see him a little bit bigger, I think, in this case.
Pay no attention to the mouse behind the curtain.
Yeah, basically. Gilbert Gottfried was one of the nicest people I had ever met. I was frankly very, very intimidated to meet him. Very intimidated, very excited, but very nervous. And as Devani had mentioned before the show, and a lot of people know this, his on-screen and on-stage persona was vastly different from how he was off screen. Correct. He was loud, he was boisterous on camera, but outside of that, he was quiet, he was shy, he was caring, and that's the Gilbert Gottfried that I had gotten to know. In the years that I had worked with him through Hoboken and other places as well, I never saw the guy who played Iago from Aladdin. I never saw the guy who was in Problem Child. I saw the guy who, for example, in 2016, right after I started dating my girlfriend, now wife, Robin, he spent about 20 minutes with her because, by the way, if you ever want to really impress a girl when you're starting to date, put her in front of people. He spent 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it was, just talking to her about everything. Like they had known each other for 15, 20 years. A couple of years later, for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, he recorded a message alongside Joyce DeWitt, congratulating them and saying how wonderful it was, that he could wish them a happy 50th wedding anniversary. And that's the Gilbert Gottfried I knew. That's the Gilbert Gottfried I had known for 8+ years, and that's the one that will always stick with me. The one who would always do stuff like that, who would always be that kind of person. Not the one that you remember from on camera, but the one that you actually got to know behind the scenes. And I'm going to turn this over to you guys if you have anything to say on this. But all I got to say is for all the stuff that you did, all the stuff that you spent the time with my future in-laws the first time that you met them, you did so much for us and you left so many lasting memories that I can never, ever pay you enough for that. So Gilbert Gottfried, thank you. If you guys want to roll with it, please do. I think I pretty much covered everything at this point.
No, we're going to leave you out to dry so this way you can be a blubbering mess. No, that's fine.
Shit.
Gilbert Gottfried. I never had the pleasure of actually meeting the man, but I know a lot of people that have ended up working with him in the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area. You know, he would always be up for doing cameos in people's films, and you know, he was a big supporter of the stand-up world that we have here because the East Coast have a good amount of it. And he was just one of those ones that, you know, if you went to the comedy club and you saw him, you knew what you were getting and you enjoyed it. I mean, people will of course, remember him for being a little more crass, a little bit more grating on the senses, but you have to understand that's the shtick. That's the gimmick. That's the persona that helped him get work. That's the same persona that got him Iago. That's the same persona that got him the Affleck. You know, who he is to people, who he is to people like Scott. There you go, Affleck. Who he is to people behind the scenes when the camera's turned off and he can actually turn down a little bit. That's a lot of comics. That's a lot of performers. And it's nice to actually hear the things that you wouldn't normally get to see because you only see them on camera or because you only see them on stage. And, you know, Gilbert Gottfried is just one of those people that if you grew up and you seen him at any point, you remembered him. I can actually say the first time I ever saw him, it wasn't in Aladdin. It wasn't in Problem Child. I got to see him in an episode of Married with Children where he was stuck on a raft from a cruise with the family.
Yep, I remember that episode. It's a two-parter.
Yeah. My agent says, take a cruise. I take a cruise. You know, that's the thing. He's also one of those voices that if you try to impersonate it, it is bad. Do not try to impersonate the man. Only he can do what he does.
Right.
It's up there with Christopher Walken. Everyone has a version, but it never sounds right.
Yeah, I remember him being in the Andrew Dice Clay film, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, where he played like the Sidney Bernstein. He was the slimy, what was he, like the lawyer, I guess, to the bad guy in the film. Anyway, yeah, he was basically no. I take that back. He was also in that film, but the one that I'm thinking of, he wasn't. He was the slimy lawyer in Beverly Hills Cop, I think it was the third, where he was like Sidney Bernstein. He was Sidney Bernstein. They come in and they're like saying, "Okay, here's crisp $100 bills." You know, you basically give him the money because his wife supposedly had parking tickets that were in his car. That's how.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was a funny scene that I remember. But I've seen him in a bunch of different films. Great guy. Never met him.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, not 3, but 2.
Good call.
Gotcha.
The greatest moment of meeting this magnificent human being was when we went to the comedy show in Red Bank. Me and a couple of friends, due to another celebrity family member. We met him on stage. He was funny. He was Gilbert Gottfried that we knew on television or film. Meeting him outside of that realm is a whole different experience, a whole different light. You thinking, oh, he's going to be like this? No, he is one of the shyest, kindest people you would ever meet. He say hello to everybody, even my friend and his ex-girlfriend and me, and took pictures, and he talked for a little bit. And then, he just basically said, thank you for showing up. Thank you. I hope you have the great experience. And he was supposed to be, we was trying to get him a part of a project that we was working on, but things didn't fall out. But at the same time, just by everybody's experience with this individual, even me growing up watching Problem Child, that was my movie. That was including having him as the principal was hilarious. But knowing him outside of that was a different take and a totally different experience. And like we all say, thank you for being there, being in our childhood. You're definitely one of the icons that we will not forget.
Yeah. Well said.
Dating all the way back to 1984 was his first movie, where he just played a pandemic in The House of God with Tim Matheson.
Tim Matheson, okay.
Should we all ever have a career that long? And it wasn't even just acting too, because the voice was so synonymous with the person. He did a lot of voiceover work, which someone
Mhm.
who appreciates voiceover and animation the way I do, you wish to have a voice like his. That look, when you're growing up and you're listening to PBS and you hear his voice and Christopher Lloyd's voice on Cyber Chase,
Mhm.
an educational show. It's like I wouldn't think Gilbert Gottfried would ever teach me anything, and yet he was there to go ahead and actually help youth learn about math and science and stuff like that. When you wouldn't expect it from a guy like that after some of the roles he's done. You always see him as kind of like more of the slimy, stinky, sort of like crass person, but there really wasn't anything the guy couldn't do, and unfortunately the whole year of 2022 has been kind of poor towards comics in general, between Bob Saget, Amazing
Yeah.
Jonathan, Louis Anderson, and now this. And those are just the people that have passed. The ones that are alive are getting slapped later in there. So it it's just a sad, sad state that we're here in April and then we have to lose somebody that's, whether a niche comic or not, he is still iconic.
Mhm.
Yes.
And additionally, I mean, on the other side of it too, what he would also do as well is there was something he did for College Humor where in his voice he narrated 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh God!
Oh
Yes,
yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So, on one hand, you got like the PBS stuff, but on the other hand, you have, like I said, 50 Shades of Grey in the Gilbert Gottfried voice. And I remember talking to him about that too. He's like, yeah, they're just like, they wanted me to do it. And I'm like, all right, well, you want to pay me for it. I'll just sit there in a booth and I'll just read.
Not even that.
There
was also stuff from the Comedy Central roasts.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he would go ahead and just give like a long exhibition in his voice and say, probably the most famous jokes amongst comedians, the aristocrats.
Mm-hmm.
That is Gilbert's bread and butter. I think his
Yeah.
version is probably more known than anybody else's.
Okay.
So,
which I'm not going to do that. You Google that yourself.
No.
Because, we're on television. I can't do that.
One S-bomb on the air at this point. Let's avoid the aristocrats for possibly another time. As Dragon Ball Z
this will never air on television.
Yeah, as Dragon Ball Z Abridged put it, it's like, we'll revisit this never. But all right, yeah. Bottom line is, thank you, Gilbert Gottfried. Appreciate it. You were awesome and grateful to you, dude. Yeah, thank you. So, all right, moving on to something happier, more upbeat, also in the news as well. We had a twofold retirement come down the pipeline. First was Bruce Willis, and then also additionally, Mr. Jim Carrey. Are calling it a career. Is it permanent? Maybe. Is it, will they come back? Well, my guess is probably. But for right now, for the moment, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive, I think, into basically the career of these two. Talking a little bit about their upbringing, how they got started, where they were, some of the roles we remember them from. So we're going to start off in this case with Mr. Jim Carrey, because I think of the two, slightly bigger.
Oh, there you
go. Beginning his career in his first movie role in 1981 in a movie called Rubber Face, which sounds like something that he would actually end up. Basically, you could see him in a role like that. Yeah. This was about 8 or 9 years before he even did In Living Color as James Carrey. So, you guys want to roll, or should I just keep rolling?
See, for as much as
yeah.
Oh wow, that's taking it back.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a photo. But the thing is with Jim Carrey, he is. I can easily say if there was one actor or one performer that got me into acting, that got me wanting to do this, it was Jim Carrey. I can remember as a little kid seeing the promos for Ace Ventura: Pet Detective and watching In Living Color when I was way too young to be watching In Living Color, but I got away with it. And, seeing the one white guy on that show, it was like, oh, wow, he's just like me. I don't know what that would feel like for other people, but it's one of those things where it's like, I
felt the same way.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see my people being portrayed, but it's one of those things where it's like you see
Good night, everybody.
who's just so charismatic and who does everything they can, everything they want to, the face contortions, the physical activity, the voices. You see someone who just puts it all out there, and you want to be like, I want to do that. It's easily the first memory that I can say has spurred me on to wanting to be an entertainer, and to see his entire career, to see him struggling as a stand-up from, when him and his family were living in a car, traveling around up there in Canada. The fact that he, had the whole check signed out for when he made his first $1 million and kept it in the wallet, just all of that. The stuff he wanted to do for his father. I'm not trying to get as emotional as Scott did, but it's
good.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like you hear that the man is retiring, and it's like it's a blessing and it's a curse. Because let's face it, you never want to see your heroes go ahead and be like at their worst and then disappear, because then that's just going to be the final image. Right now, he's possibly on his his return in a sense. Sonic the Hedgehog back in 2020 was really like his resurgence, I'd say, in the comedy realm. And just this past weekend, he opened up to his biggest opening ever with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 hitting 71 million. And to go out, if that's really going to happen, I mean, I don't know if he's contractually obligated for any more sequels or anything like that, but as of right now, there's nothing else down the pipe. If this is truly the end, I can't be happier for him, because he has done pretty much everything he's wanted to do. There's no regrets. There's nothing sad about him leaving, and he's content. He's doing it on his own power. Some people, unfortunately, which we may get to later, they don't have that luxury. Right. So am I going to be sad about it? Absolutely. I wish we could have gotten an Ace Ventura 3 with Christopher Nolan directing it. I think that sounds great. Crazy, but great. But I just don't want to think that it's like it's done, because then I feel like if it's done, then like my dreams and my hopes, my everything is done. But I don't know. Maybe it might have the adverse effect where it spurs me on, because like now we're losing someone of Jim Carrey's caliber, and there's a role that needs to be filled. But
Devani's aching to talk, by the way. Yeah.
I know, and I understand your emotions, and it's very understandable. Like, a lot of us have idols that we looked up to, and we basically not idolize. These are role models. They're role models not because them wanting to be role models. They're role models because they made an impact in every single person in the world. And Jim Carrey was one of those people doing comedy, and he did it with good taste. It was like, I remember watching him in A Living Color, and I was like, wow, this guy can really make me laugh.
Does a lot of different characters.
Yeah, he's really good. Then started watching some other stuff he does, and you're like, okay. Then it got to really addiction, like, yo, I got to get this Jim Carrey movie. I got to get that Jim Carrey movie because he's funny.
Oh, I'm not going to show you my closet.
Oh boy, you don't have like a cross in there with Jim Carrey pictures all over it, do you?
No. That would be sacrilege. Yeah. Although if I ever did get like a wig of his like Ace Ventura bouffant and just put that up on a fake head, sure.
Yeah.
Let me show you how to.
But his biggest breakout role was Ace Ventura and the Cable Guy.
Cable Guy.
The Cable Guy was unique because of the fact that it was a little bit darker, because everybody at that point had known him from like Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Yes. So they saw this and they're like, okay. And obviously that was just a sign of things to come. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, but it fits. And that was the thing. Like, you wouldn't expect it. Then the message behind it, or the character, understanding his character. It was really well done. And then there was some movies that we looked at and we was like Batman.
I'm sorry.
What? The Schumacher era was not a great Batman era. But continue. I'm sorry.
Hey, still my Riddler better than Dano's. All right. I will die.
You know what? No. I take that back. he was pretty much the breakout star of that film, but he didn't get the recognition that was deserved.
Okay, I can take that.
Well, Val Kilmer was bigger, I think, for that. Because Val Kilmer his stock was still pretty high in '95.
Was Val Kilmer or was it on George Clooney?
No, Val Kilmer was Batman Forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just when they brought Arnold as Mr. Freeze, it was like, why? But
and they almost had a Schumacher third one too, with a Scarecrow.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, who would have been playing Scarecrow?
I don't remember, but it was a name you'd recognize too.
But that's another thing in regards to like Jim Carrey and his work.
Right.
You may not necessarily remember like which movie he was or what, but you remember the characters he did. Whether it's Ace Ventura, whether it's Stanley Up Against the Mask, whether it's Lloyd Christmas, Ebenezer Scrooge, The Grinch, The Riddler.
He was in a film in 1985 called One Spit, and it was kind of it was a ripoff from Fright Night. At least I thought it was anyway. Fright Night with Roddy McDowell.
Version, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just had the same kind of like storyline kind of thing, and that was kind of one of the first movies I'd really seen him in.
Oh, that dance-off scene in like the third act. I still remember it.
Right.
By the way, I just looked it up. It was actually Nick Cage for Batman Unchained as Scarecrow. Had there been a third Joel Schumacher Batman?
Oh, he's alive and kicking. So
yeah. But would it
work? Nick Cage has his own movie about himself.
Nick Cage as the Scarecrow, I think could work.
Okay. But back to the subject at hand with the Truman Show, definitely.
Truman Show, yeah.
But here's the other thing. He is now starting to be a household name because he's playing Dr. Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog. And they never left the cliffhanger saying that he died, what happened to him, or anything.
You never see the body, it didn't happen.
But here's the other kicker. What if it's not time and this is not his final film? And I'm thinking this is not his final film.
Probably not. Probably not.
Well, like I said, it's a question of whether or not he's contractually obligated for any sequels as far as those movies are concerned. But he also doesn't have anything else lined up, really. So,
well, for us,
if he doesn't want to take the work. He doesn't have to.
How many times had can't even think of the quarterback's name? He retired like so many times.
Oh,
Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Well, yeah, Tom Brady, but Brett Favre.
I'm saying Brett Favre.
There you go.
He tried.
But as far as Jim Carrey goes, I mean, he started to work out into like what was it, Apartment 13 or Number 13?
Yeah,
Eternal Sunshine with Kate Winslet.
Oh, I love that film. That was a
Majestic.
Majestic.
I love
he
Philip
started
Morris.
to show his chops outside of the comedic realm, and people were kind of like, "Wow." Go ahead.
Oh, y'all forgetting one more movie.
Well, I probably didn't forget.
He was in Dirty. He was in Dirty Harry.
Is it what?
Technically, he wasn't in Dirty Harry. He was in the Deadpool.
Yeah, he was in the Deadpool.
He was also in The Office,
and he was also in Earth Girls Are Easy.
And you can't forget. You can't forget the Andy Kaufman movie.
Well, yeah,
we're not going to forget that. We was going to say that for later.
If there was any singular black spot on his career, it would be Man on the Moon. Not for his acting. That was pretty much the point where you could say he is an actor, not a comedian. He is an actor. But that documentary and all the behind the scenes nonsense with the method acting, it's also been a cautionary tale.
Oh, believe me,
that was what Rob wanted to talk about. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was kind of paying attention to what's been going on in the news, and this, for Will Poulter, even like
soon to be Adam Warlock.
Yes, and even Mads Mikkelsen, they were all talking about how method acting is basically just turning actors into jerks, I should say, and and how I mean, if you're an actor, if you're a method actor, right, you shouldn't be in character the whole time, and or like with Jared Leto when he was the Joker, or not the I guess he was the Joker.
Yeah,
he was constantly
technically.
doing practical jokes with everybody on set, and
that is true.
making Will Smith go insane because he was so many.
You don't want to upset Will Smith.
No, you
That's
don't.
true. You don't want to do that. No,
You got to slap him in the face.
He had a gun at that time. No.
Yeah, I mean, you've got so many method actors that they dive deep into their character that like it's hard for them to come back out. Heath Ledger is, a method actor that comes to mind where he locked himself in a motel room for a month just to kind of dive into this Joker character that he played in The Dark Knight, right? And so, did he come out?
That's the double-edged sword of it.
Huh?
That's the double-edged sword of method acting. I think all of us have probably known somebody that's maybe gone a little bit too far with it, where they start to lose themselves and they become the character. Look, I can understand Jim doing it for Andy Kaufman, for trying to be a comic legend who did ruffle people's feathers. I'd say if you're going to go ahead and do it for a person who did live, who was a character in themselves. And God forbid, if anyone ever does a movie about Gilbert Gottfried, I want somebody to method act as Gilbert Gottfried. All right.
Wow.
I don't want someone to just play pretend. I don't want someone to just do the voice. I want someone to nail
Yeah,
it.
you got to find somebody that can actually do the voice.
Oh yeah,
It'll be Ryan Reynolds with The Rock. Because they're obviously
there you go.
Now, as
Elba,
far as like fictional characters go, whether it be Morbius or the Joker or whatever or whoever, I don't know if it's really not necessary, because all you really need to do is put your particular spin on a character that's already had multiple iterations and multiple people try to create stories off of them. So it's your version. You don't have to go that heavy, and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, Christian Bale in the Machinist. I mean, that man, he lost nearly 100 pounds for that role. When you dive that deep, something's like cuckoo.
Well, he's got the money to go ahead and get himself a feast afterwards.
Well,
he can build that up in a second.
Like she's done that she did that for Les Mis. I'm sorry, Devani, go ahead.
No, but since we all talking about method acting, like it all varies on different elements. Like it depends on the actor themselves and who they're portraying. Like you said, some fictional characters are required someone to really go deep into that particular character because there's more of a psychological element that brings more emotion with that character. Look at Jack. What's it? Joaquin Phoenix when he played
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin.
See,
hey, that's all right.
But we gotta look at Joaquin Phoenix.
Who knows his name?
Stop. Joaquin Phoenix. He's another method actor. He actually had to basically focus the whole aspects of being abused into the point where it always takes that one bad day to make you snap. And that was the part of method because you have people that don't experience that one bad day except for its normals. And everybody's one bad day could be any type of bad day. Look at Will Smith.
One bad day, one bad week, one bad month, one bad year.
One bad 10 years.
2021.
But even though that one bad day, you got Batman to laugh.
Right.
That was a Killing Joke reference there, but
Yes. And
personally,
also,
I think Batman killed him in that, but that's just me. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No. But have anybody seen Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
Yeah.
That whole movie is talking about method acting and acting itself. And
I'm the dude that's the dude.
You never go full retard.
I'm just
never go full retard.
Playing another dude.
Yeah, but there's pearls in that. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. as an actor playing a character talking about method acting. There's a lot to learn about method, like you said, from that, just because of the fact that they are so ingrained in their character, and especially Robert Downey Jr. in this one, that you look at it and you're like, yeah, it's actually a little bit of a case study here.
Yeah, and it's not a perfect setting, but that's how it works. It all depends on the actor. I may not get that whole, because it depends on the character. Let's say who is the most well-known villain in Marvel?
Probably Thanos at this point.
Okay. And
Green
a person
Goblin,
that
Doctor Doom.
you will have to do research, and whoever shines a light that looks like a person that is a challenge, because you got to get in depth. You got to get into the physics of that particular character. Just the same thing as DC or anybody that give you a script. You have to portray. Sometimes you have to walk in their shoes every single day to make sure you don't lose any step of being that character.
So Marlon Brando is like epitome to method acting for me because the man, he was a genius himself. I was taking that Dustin Hoffman masterclass online, and he was telling a story about how when he was coming up, he sat in on a production where Marlon Brando was sitting at a table. He was just talking with the people, the production, like just whatever. He was just kind of having a nonchalant conversation. He looked over at the director and kind of just nodded his head. The director said, "Go." He's in the middle of a conversation, and the next thing you know, he's in character. He's talking as if he's the character for this particular. I forget what production he was saying, what he said it was, but for him to be able to just switch on like that, that's amazing.
Well, again, it always depends on the role itself. The thing with this
I
is
don't
that,
know.
for as
I think
much
it's-
as Jim,
I think
well,
it's the actor, personally.
well, that's the thing though, because as far as Jim Carrey is concerned, so we can just finish off with him. For as much as he may have gone through that sort of stuff with Man on the Moon, you could easily say pretty much every character before and after that was still Jim Carrey. His mannerisms, his pitches, his speed in which he delivered. He was always playing himself in a sense. It's only in the later years that he's actually gone ahead and toned down from all that, trying to be like an anti-Robin Williams instead of getting like more coked up. He's becoming less coked up, and you can see it in his performances. I mean, yes, he probably turned a little bit up and had some coffee for Sonic the Hedgehog, but outside of that, he's pretty much come to terms with like who he is and how he does things. If you ever see the show Kidding, which I think was on Showtime, was it Showtime or HBO? No, I would think it was Showtime. That is probably the most sincere I have seen Jim in like the longest time, like since like early 2000s, Jim Carrey, and that's probably like his most dramatic finishing piece. Anything he does from now is pretty much just for pure fun. And that's the thing. You either have the actors who go ahead and immerse themselves into the characters and try to be as much as they are, or you have the people that go ahead and perform simply as themselves every time because it works.
But the thing about Jim Carrey, more than Bruce Willis, is that Jim Carrey, a lot of kids didn't really know who that was. I mean, they knew they did comedy, they knew some stuff that he done, but he was an our generation sort of a comedian,
right?
Yeah.
Until Sonic, and then what is arguably the best game to movie franchise that's ever been done. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that. He has endeared himself to a brand new generation by just spot on playing Ivo Robotnik as well as he did, and that's the connection that I think is big right now, and where it worked so well, where it's not like we had this guy who was doing some stuff like, some Ace Ventura thing. I don't even know. It's like, it involved like Miami.
It's not Dumb or Dumber 2, basically.
Exactly. Well, that was, but the point being is that you had all of these kids that are suddenly going to see this movie, loving whoever this Jim Carrey person is, and being like, I want to see more of him. And by the way, Dad and Mom were like, here, let's throw in Ace Ventura, let's throw in The Mask, and then suddenly you got these kids that are hooked into all this stuff that this unknown guy did for all of those decades. And now his stock just went boom. His rating on IMDb today was 68.
Not too shabby.
That is usually only reserved for people that just died. It is not usually reserved for people that are alive like that. He was literally sitting at 68. And it's like, because of the retirement announcement and because of the power of Sonic and Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Right. But that's, of course, again, it still remains to be seen if whether or not he will come back for more or do anything else.
I think he will.
Though I do think at this point we should probably transition to the one person who's probably not going to be acting again for conditions outside of his control.
Yeah.
The great Bruce Willis, who,
Yeah.
yes, I understand the last time we probably talked about the man before all this, we were joking about his Razzies like entire category of his 8 films that were nominated.
I wasn't involved.
Yeah,
which
that was
mind
before
you, the
your time.
Razzies have rescinded. So they're just like, they're not bothering with that. They're like, okay, we made a mistake. Fine. Sorry. Not going to go through with that. But for
Welcome
as much
to the
as
party,
Jim Carrey
pal.
was in comedy, even though Bruce Willis started in comedy, he was just such like the everyman action guy. Like he wasn't built up like Schwarzenegger or Stallone. He didn't have the kicks like Van Damme. He was the guy that
average Joe.
Yeah, we all wish we could do that
Still
stuff
part of the
because if he could do it,
Invincibles,
we could do
though.
it.
You're still in part of not Invincibles. What was it? Indestructibles, right? What was the name of that film?
Yeah, but
No.
he was established by that point.
Yeah.
Die Hard was different for him,
But
and
still,
also
I mean, for him,
Alan Rickman.
for him to be involved in all these action films, I mean, that's kind of where I was going at.
Wait,
Go
which
ahead.
movie came first? Death Becomes Her or Die Hard?
Die Hard, definitely.
Die Hard, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I
Death
think
Becomes
Die
Her
Hard
was
was
like
like his first
90s.
movie because originally the studio didn't want that guy from Moonlighting. They're like, really? You want that guy? You know, the studio was like hardcore against him, Bruce Willis as John McClane.
Well, that's
They
the thing.
wanted-
Back then, there was like the big divide between television actors and movie actors. You were either one or the other. You didn't do both.
Right.
But it was that 80s where you really started to see people on the come up, whether it was Eddie Murphy going from Saturday Night Live and going into the mainstream, or someone like Bruce Willis who was in a romantic comedy with Sybil Shepherd, and then boom, he starts shooting people in a building.
Have a couple drinks, have a couple laughs.
Exactly. But see, that's what made that work so well was the fact that it had lighter moments to it to offset some of the action in there.
Right.
Up to that point, when you look at the action films, and you mentioned Stallone and Schwarzenegger, you think about their movies; those things were all serious all the way through. You know, Rambo, Rocky, Commando, Running Man, everything. Conan. You look at all these; none of them really had humorous bits in there and quotable lines that made you laugh. That's what made Die Hard different.
Except for Kindergarten Cop.
That was later, though. That was 1990. But yes, that is true. Not a true movie. But
Although to be fair, he was also one of those actors who was able to toe the line between action and comedy. Because you think about some of the comedy stuff he's done, like Death Becomes Her, or Blind Date, or Look Who's Talking as the voice of Mikey.
Yes,
it's like I wouldn't have expected that, but he was able to be one of those ones that's like, I'll just have some fun with whatever I'm doing because. When am I going to get this opportunity again? Not to.
But he shocked the world in '99 with Sixth Sense.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people did. He did. Obviously, M. Night Shyamalan came out of nowhere with that, but he shocked the world with that movie.
Yeah, I would dare say Shyamalan is the reason that we take Bruce Willis as more of a dramatic actor. Between that and Unbreakable, that was like the golden goose with those two together. And I think only from there were you able to see him do like more serious action movies as opposed to just stuff with a little bang bang shoot shoot and like a couple of quicks.
Like Pulp Fiction for one. I mean, that's kind of it intermixes a little seriousness with a little bit of lightheartedness with bang bang shoot 'em up kind of stuff. So
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Montclair State. He went to Montclair State.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a Jersey guy too.
He's a Jersey guy.
He's a good old local.
Good old boy.
So it's like we have to talk about him. So
yeah,
like
I know
majority.
There was. Go ahead.
No, I said basically majority. I would say about a good 86% of actors that are in Hollywood that are like A-listers are from Jersey.
A lot of them are. Meryl Streep is.
Michael B. Jordan.
What's that?
Michael B. Jordan.
Really? Where's he from?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he's a Newark guy.
He's a Newark guy.
Yeah, Newark. I think of like Queen Latifah or Shaq. I think.
Yep.
Steve Covey. I guess he's.
I think Newark. I think Whitney Houston first and foremost.
Fair. Also Drew.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I got a list of people here. There's
Yeah,
Tobin.
New Jersey.
No.
We're more than just Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
Best place of cinema, as I tell people.
Jersey Shore, the show that really has people from Staten Island, not Jersey. So,
yeah, because we don't fist pump.
what's that? No.
No.
And we actually, I was going to say, we don't pump our own gas except for the time that we actually do and tell the guy, don't bother, I'll take care of it.
But
So, yeah, but as far as like Bruce Willis goes, I mean, obviously he retired for slightly different reasons, but very accomplished in spite of everything. I think in some regards, maybe even a little bit better of a dramatic actor, because again, Sixth Sense, you come back to that, you know, you see some of the other stuff that he has done where, I mean, even as an 80s and 90s kid, Expendables 1 and 2 meant the world to us, especially Expendables 2, because it combined everybody into that thing.
yes,
You got Stallone, you got Bruce Willis, you got Schwarzenegger, you got Chuck Norris,
Jason
all in the
Statham.
same scene fighting Jean-Claude Van Damme.
like yes. Let me work my hips.
Oh,
Before that, he certainly had his own like slate of action movies, whether it be Striking Distance, Armageddon.
yes.
What you calls it?
Doing a clue smash.
What was that one where it was like him and one of the Wayans brothers?
Last Boy Scouts.
There we go. Yes.
Oh, yeah, actually, this is going to sound weird. I forgot to actually mention this. I actually sent police to his house once.
You
The
did
what?
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 Yeah, I just for some reason you just said something that triggered in my head. Well, when I was working as an alarm dispatcher, we actually did alarm dispatching for a couple of celebrities. Things like that. Joe Torre was in there too. A few people. Bruce Willis was one of them, and there was an alarm being tripped on like one of the floors of his building. The building he was in, and NYPD was like, "What floor?" I was like, "All of them," because the dude just owned like 7 floors of whatever this Manhattan high rise.
Did they find him in the vents?
Dude,
Yeah, there you go.
what's up? But
Perfect
yeah,
example. Wait.
What's that?
Perfect example.
Between him and Sigourney Weaver, you got the fence.
They own half of New York City each.
Yeah,
Him and Sigourney Weaver.
but yeah, Bruce Willis, to his credit, like I said, he's had a very long career. I can't obviously his catchphrase we can't say on air, but I can say the dubbed one. Yippee ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Oh God, no! Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yippee ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Just do the yippee ki-yay.
Yeah, or yippee ki-yay, Melon Farmer. That also works too.
Melon Farmer.
Melon Farmer was the other one.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
No,
But okay, there is one thing that probably has to be said in regards to Bruce Willis and his career in conjunction to like what we were saying about Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
At least Jim Carrey is someone we can say that if he is truly retiring, he is going out on his own terms.
Right.
Bruce Willis, unfortunately, is going the other avenue where, because of his particular medical condition, he was just pounding out movie after 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 movie. Stop it. To the point where it became repetitive to, just seeing him going through the motions. And it's a shame because he really has been able to show how good of an actor he can be, but he just churned out so much straight to streaming stuff that it's like, I hate to say, it's kind of diminished his star.
Well, sometimes you got to do. He did a lot of stuff. I mean, Die Hard 5 was kind of a bomb at the box office. 4 wasn't bad.
Right.
So he
Die Hard 10.
Die Hard 11D6. Die Hard the musical. Live on Broadway. It's John McClane.
I am going to save my wife. Let me do it.
Spock. Which, by the way, also we have to point out the fact that Die Hard also included William Atherton, best known as the guy from Ghostbusters and Biodome.
Just
Biodome. There you go.
We're gonna at some point in the future we're gonna do some kind of a bad movie beatdown, where we're just gonna trash like the worst movies ever made, and I think Biodome should be included in that.
In the top 10.
But yeah, coming back to Bruce Willis again, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, the guy got his start, for 40 years, and he's been in the industry. He was in Twilight Zone in the 80s, for God's sakes. So,
oh my God, I forgot they had a Twilight Zone in the 80s.
they did. I remember the Twilight Zone from the 80s.
I rarely ever see those. It's either the black and white versions or the the new ones that they had on CBS, Paramount, whatever
Yeah, the
organization.
Jordan
Plus.
Peele one. No, the other stuff is on like Sci-Fi Network a lot. The original, the Rod Serling ones.
Right.
But
You can
here-
see them
here,
on
this
like
is the shame
you
that
can
I'm
see them
talking
on
about,
like New Year's Eve, going into New Year's Day.
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
either
I'm
that or like
looking
a
at stuff
honeymooners,
from like
right?
the last 10 years, and aside from anything that's like comic book related, like Sin City, Damned to Kill For, or Red 2,
Mhm.
none of these movies I even recognize. I didn't even know they came out. Split, yes. Again, the Shyamalan connection works with
Mhm.
Willis.
Yeah.
But all these other ones, it's like I want to see them, but they're all rated so badly because they're all so basic. And it's like I
Well,
hate to think of him like that. I hate to think of him just like going out with like a whimper.
Now, my question to everybody: since Bruce Willis is retiring, do you think they're gonna want to remake Die Hard?
they will.
Oh, they make all those 80s
They will.
films.
Oh, dude, if there's a possibility to reboot a franchise, by God, and Die Hard's going to be one of them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were already talking about trying to make another Die Hard movie, and it was supposed to be a prequel, which I don't know how you go more prequel than Nakatomi Plaza, but
Well,
Well, I mean,
he
you
did
can have
have
a
a
young
family.
John McClane prior, just when he was like a patrolman in the NYPD.
Yeah, he
But yeah.
was married to what's her face, and she ended up getting kidnapped, and you know. So
But
yeah, I mean,
as much as I love him as John McClane, I do have to say the last couple of movies probably watered down the flavor of the franchise. So if
Mhm.
they did want to make a new Die Hard,
oh
I don't
well,
think it's impossible. I think it's
it's
just a matter of you going ahead and casting somebody, because whoever you cast to fill John McClane's shoes, or wrapped up feet walking on glass, whichever way you want to put it,
Michael
you're
B.
gonna
Jordan.
have to go ahead and make sure that they're incomparable to Bruce Willis, because that is the movie that made him.
But
Michael
the
B.
Right.
Jordan.
the fans are going to be pissed because again, it's Hollywood remaking another classic franchise for a
Yeah.
quick money grab. The fans are going to turn against that thing instantly.
Right,
Now,
and
my-
we've
It's probably
seen
forgotten.
remakes in the past where they've gone ahead and they've done the movie, but
Mhm.
the characters that they have, regardless of whether or not they're the same characters, it's not the same. There isn't the
Mhm.
same palpitation. Look at Point
Maybe,
Break when they went ahead and
Mhm.
remade that.
maybe
Easily
if
forgettable.
they make it even more edgier, more comedic. Yeah, that'd be the way to do it.
I think they did that with the guys from Workaholics in the movie Game Over Man.
Over, yeah. Game over, man. Game over.
Well, that's a franchise that's probably going to get rebooted at some point too. Like rebooted. I'm
What,
not talking like
Workaholics? Oh no,
best
Predator.
officer sequels. Maybe.
No,
I
but
was
you
gonna
ever
say
see
maybe.
Game Over Man?
Yeah.
I have not.
I have not.
Basically, it's the guys from Workaholics, if you ever seen the television
Mhm.
show. It's very first Die Hard-esque story, but very comedic.
Yes.
Perfect.
So, I mean,
Dark and raunchy.
yeah. Again, Die Hard itself is already one of those movies that's like been heavily memed, heavily spoofed and redone, satired in other movies. If you're
It
gonna do
hasn't
it,
been
you
on
really
Broadway
gotta
yet.
nail it. Otherwise, don't even call it Die Hard, Origins, or Die Hard, again. Just
Hmm.
Or
make something
about this?
else.
Die Hard
Live soft.
2.0.
That sounds like the bad porn version of Die Hard.
Die Hard 2.0.
Yeah.
Oh God, if I ever got on a grind my gears, that's gonna be something. Anytime they put 2.0 behind something, it's
Oh
like
yeah.
no.
Extreme Die Hard.
Right? It worked for
2.0.
Matt Hardy, and even then he went version 1. All right, he didn't use 2. Just
Hmm.
don't do these things. Don't make yourself
Or
sound like a cliche.
Die Hard.
The Die Hard. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They played off the name enough times. Die Hard with a Vengeance, A Good Day to Die Hard, Live or Die Hard. Just Die Hard Battery. Just put battery as the subtitle.
There you go.
Well, didn't he do a John McClane commercial for Die
Yeah,
Hard
for a
Battery?
Super Bowl
Yeah.
where they brought him
Yeah.
back and they used that. It's like, okay, we get where Die Hard came from. Fine. Unless
Or-
we're gonna get a movie called Energizer or Duracell. It's like I don't know what else we can work with.
Last one. Die Hard. Game over.
There you go.
Well, see, actually, I was going to say I had one. In a world where only the Beatles can save Nakatomi Plaza, Die Hard, Day's Night.
Die Hard Days Night.
That may work.
Hmm.
That's better than the one with Game Over.
K
Die Hard Game Over.
for night. K. KNIGHT.
But yeah, you can go back. It's prequel. You can make it basically have.
I'm sorry, Bruce. I'm sorry. I didn't. I should have stopped them, but I allowed them to continue on.
We got to wrap this up. We're already getting the alerts. So basically, we're running out of time anyway.
Yeah.
So. Oh God. Well, see, actually, wasn't it? There was going to be an episode we were going to do. Devani and I were talking yesterday about the possibility of Disney doing Disney and making a live action movie of DuckTales. They're not doing it yet, but we were trying to sit here and basically plan out, okay, who would actually be in the live action reboot of DuckTales? And we kind of figured David Tennant's not a bad choice, but I want to try and go outside of people that have never worked anything in the DuckTales universe. That will be on our hit list possibly sometime, if not never. Depending on if I can sell Ryan on the possibility of doing that.
Because we're already kind of disappointed with Chippendales Rescue Rangers already by looking at the trailer.
Dude,
wait until you see it. Wait.
CG 2D.
I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by how funny it is. The Lonely Island hasn't let me down yet.
I don't know. You wouldn't let me post that one video that I sent you.
Well, because you were like, okay. For what you wanted to post, I did think it was a little mountain out of a molehill.
Well, yeah, but I have to actually. I'm going to have to show them the picture and be like, okay,
needless to say,
I saw something in the tag
Monterey
poster,
Jack grabbing more than just a hunk of cheese.
Right.
Yeah,
but
there was something in there. I just made this quick video. I was like, can I post this? He's like, no, that wouldn't go over well. I'm like, damn it. So, all right, we got to wrap this up.
He was reaching.
It's where the fingers were placed.
Yeah.
And the
thing is, I don't think Robert or Devani know what we're talking about, so they're just imagination of running.
Oh yes. So, all right, we got to wrap this up at this point because we got 2 minutes left. I'm already getting the alerts on that. Thank you as always, Mr. Rob Leckington. I appreciate it. Ryan O'Regan, Devani, welcome aboard. You were seamless as we pretty much expected it was going to be. I appreciate that. No tomorrow at 5 p.m. we have the watch party for Moon Knight episode 3 on the Twitch page and the YouTube channel. So what's that?
They're in Egypt now. So.
They're in Egypt now. Yeah. So at this point, they've gone and left London and gone over to Egypt there. So,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, some say spoiler. So we're going to be doing that. That's going to be awesome. So check that out. Like I said, on Tales from the Film Set, the YouTube channel, and also the Twitch page as well. I can't really put it on the Facebook page because I'm currently Facebook banned from doing live stream, which I will have to explain to you guys at some point, which actually is really kind of funny there. But anyway, that's a grind my gears thing for Friday. Anyway, for myself, I'm Scott Churchson, Mr. Devani Busey, Mr. Ryan O'Regan, and also Mr. Robert Leckington. I got the picture, the pointing wrong, but that's okay. Screw it. You know who they are. I'm Scott Churchson. Thanks as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Stay awesome.
Toodles.
Rest in peace.
Gun.